Sponsored in part by Pediatric Associates of Dallas. Pediatric Associates of Dallas has been providing excellence in pediatric medicine since 1971. PAD has locations in Dallas and Plano and is now open 7 days a week because taking care of kids is what we do.
The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional legal advice, medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your attorney, advocate, physician, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding any medical or educational concerns.
Good
Hi.
morning.
And welcome to another episode of Empower Dyslexia. I'm Rachel Chambers.
And I'm Stephen Yearout.
And we're here to help you be better partners in education. On this show, we talk about dyslexia and related disorders, research, interventions, policies at the federal and state levels, and we do interviews with experts in the field as well as people that have personal experiences. So welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Like us on Facebook. Like us on YouTube. Subscribe.
Yes.
All that good stuff.
Leave us comments and reviews. And the other expert in the field that we're talking about is the parents.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones.
They're at the table too.
Yeah, you're boots on the ground. You're there in front and center. So, as always, you can see us on all of our favorite apps. If you're watching this, obviously you're watching it on Facebook Live or YouTube Live. You can get us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, NAPod, TuneIn, all of those great apps out there that we listen to our podcasts on.
Betcha.
So,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say today, for those that didn't know, Rachel and I were asked to go to Washington, D.C. this summer and speak at the Say Dyslexia rally.
Yeah.
Which was a huge honor.
That was I think July 9th.
Yes.
Yeah. We were going to do a show in July all about that, but we had to recoup.
Yes. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
We got to meet a lot of you. There was lots of parents there, shared lots of stories and talked to a lot of parents. And, that's really what this show is about is the real show is the parents, right? We're just up here talking.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are really the Empower Dyslexia. They're their team Empower Dyslexia. They're the ones out there that is fighting the good fight, and we're up here talking and supporting them. So
support and just any information we can bring you guys that we think might help.
I'm very proud of all of the advocacy work that I'm reading about from these parents that are gaining this valuable knowledge that they can go help their kids. So good job, parents. Keep up the good work, and we're here for you. We're here for your support.
Yeah, definitely. So today, in just a little while, we're going to have Marilyn Muller. God, I knew I was going to butcher that. Muller. And she was one of the parent advocates that we met in D.C., and she's going to be joining us here in about 10 minutes. But in the meantime, we have a couple of videos. We interviewed some people that were also speakers that we'd like to share with you. So the first one is... I don't remember what order.
Let's go with, I think it's Dr. Johnson.
Dr. Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go with Dr. Johnson. Jason. Jason's our producer, not Dr. Johnson.
Actually, we'll just surprise whichever
one you bring.
I got Amy up first, so
Okay, go with Amy.
Amy, let's do Amy.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Hi guys,
Super nice.
Empower Dyslexia here. I'm standing here with Amy from New York, right?
Do you guys want to be
Maryland,
silent
originally
or
from New
talk
York,
over?
yes.
Okay.
I live in Maryland now.
She was one of the guest speakers from today's Say Dyslexia rally. Amy, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I started teaching a little over 20 years ago in a 4th grade classroom in a small school on Long Island. And then I moved with my family here to Maryland, where I became a learning specialist and held various positions, Title I, administrator, and now I work at the Board of Ed for a school system in Maryland as a literacy integration specialist.
Awesome. So, why do you say dyslexia?
Well, it exists, right? So, and it's important because it's a reading disability that affects about 15 to 20% of our population, and it requires very specialized instruction for our students. And students with dyslexia vary on a continuum, so from mild to severe. And so that instruction might need to look different for each and every student who is living with dyslexia. It's a neurobiological disorder that does not go away. It persists throughout the child's lifetime, and it needs to be addressed as early on as possible so that we can give kids what they need to be successful in life. And literacy is the road to being successful.
In your speech, you were talking about how you didn't feel like you actually had enough training on dyslexia.
Yeah.
So one of my son's teachers actually came to me at the end of last year, and she said, hey, she stopped me in the hall. She was, hey, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for never giving up on bringing me information. Because of what we did, the entire district got training on dyslexia. And so I said, so now how do you feel about dyslexia? And she started to tear up. And she goes, I counted every student that failed.
Yeah.
So, can you speak a little bit about the importance of making sure that our teachers get the proper training?
Sure. So when I first started teaching, I remember I had 2 reading courses in my master's program only. One was about children's literature and choosing rich books, and the other was on assessment, and the assessment was a reading comprehension test. And that's all I knew going into my classes. And so when I would teach spelling, because that's all I did in the 4th grade classroom, I didn't teach phonics or phonological awareness. If a child misspelled a word, I would tell them, you know, there's 5 vowels, stick a vowel in there, you're missing a vowel. I didn't know anything about how the English language worked. I didn't know what the structure of it. And so I did my students a disservice because I didn't have the knowledge to understand why they were making them errors in their writing that they were making, or why I had a child who read slower than somebody else. I thought maybe they weren't trying as hard, or maybe they weren't concentrating, and I was blaming it on other things rather than reflecting on myself as a practitioner. And it wasn't until about halfway through my career that I first got training in letters, language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And I realized there was so much happening in the brain that I didn't know about. And to understand the components of structured literacy that I needed to, A, learn about, have an awareness of, but then know how to do an implementation. What does that look like in the classroom? How can I be a diagnostic and prescriptive teacher? And it wasn't about the program in front of me. It was about me being a teacher and being reflective and understanding where my students were and what they needed throughout the day and how to support that. And it took me many years to get good at that, and I am still working on that. I went to a training last week and I learned new things. I mean, will never stop learning, and the day I do, I need to get out of this field because I will begin doing students a disservice. But I could count students. I know who they are. I see their faces every day that I didn't do right by them because I didn't know how. But now I do, and now I do better.
Well, that's all that matters. That now you know, and you know that from now on, nobody else.
Yeah. No, they won't. So thank you
very
so
much.
much. Yeah. Thank you.
What great advice.
I loved talking to her.
Yeah, I mean,
She was inspirational, and like, you know, you hope your child is in her classroom.
right.
You
So
know?
we got to make sure that our teachers are properly educated and have the right information to make sure that they get
So
the right,
important. Up to date.
yes, up-to-date, proper information so they can make sure our children get help.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all right, so let's jump on to our next quick video.
We're having such a good time that we got to meet this lovely person, Dr. Tracy Johnson. I'm going to look at your name badge just to make sure I said everything right. but she was here and she spoke, was one of the speakers.
Yes.
She spoke right before us. But tell us a little bit about herself to share with our audience.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Tracy Johnson. I'm actually dyslexic myself. I did not find out that I was dyslexic until I was out of high school. So all throughout school, I struggled with reading, writing. They told me I was dumb, slow, stupid. They said college was never for me. I was actually I tried to commit suicide several times as a teenager, just because I was a struggling reader and not able to fit in the normal education system. But when I got out of high school, I started in dead-end jobs here and there, just low self-esteem, low self-worth. But I was able to find an organization, IDA, International Dyslexia Association, and I was identified then as being dyslexic. So then a light went on and said, oh my, I'm not dumb, I'm not stupid, I'm dyslexic. From then on, I just had a love for education as I got remedial help with the Wilson program, Orton Gillingham-based program. I was then able to soar in my educational journey. I went back to college, I got my associate's degree, got my master's degree, got my honorary PhD in ministry, and I'm not done. I'm not done. I have a love for learning, but not only for me, but to educate others as well. I'm also an adjunct professor, and I'm also beginning to be a Wilson tutor myself, where I can help other young people as well. Because I don't want anyone, adult or child, to go through the journey that I went through, because it just doesn't have to be. Education is too vast, knowledge is too vast. We have all these resources, and I want to be a resource for others who are struggling readers. Thank you so much.
Now, Tracy, tell us about, or Dr. Johnson, tell us about your Vessels of Hope. Tell us a little bit about it.
Vessels of Hope is a nonprofit organization which I started because of the struggles that I had. Vessels of Hope, we actually share information about dyslexia, resources. We do an empowerment group where I actually talk to other adults that are struggling as well to encourage them. Also connect them with resources, the resources that I was able to get, because I want to help make a path for those who are just lost. So that's what Vessels of Hope, that's what we do at Vessels of Hope. We have a Facebook page where we're always offering resources, which is Vessels of Hope, but we also have our website, which is vesselsofhope.org. So we're based in Philadelphia, but we are happy to connect with anyone across the globe, because again, we have to connect with each other to empower one another.
I like it. I like it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, something that it's so touching that when we meet people that truly understand the struggle of dyslexia, the level of, or the passion that they have for helping others is so ginormous.
That's just what I was thinking. She was lovely.
I mean, just
lovely person.
I haven't met anybody that really understands dyslexia that doesn't have a heart to do anything and everything to help somebody that has dyslexia.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's quite a community.
Yeah.
You know?
It absolutely is. It amazes me how much passion for others that come across.
Yeah. Yeah. The people that are willing to talk about it, you know, and have found a way, you know, it's been fun. It's been fun. She was lovely. I enjoyed talking with her, and I enjoyed what she had to say in her presentation. Jason, let's get to the next one, and then we'll have Marilyn.
I think that was it. It was.
Oh, it's
we were
just
just going
two?
to show those two. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right. The other
So
one wasn't.
We'll have Dr. Johnson on shortly.
Yeah,
But
we're calling right now.
All right.
Hello, this is Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
my good friend.
I'm well. How are
Marilyn.
you?
Good.
So, kind of a backstory. I met Marilyn not this summer, but last summer when I was asked to speak on a parent panel in D.C. And Marilyn and I instantly became great friends because she is such a fierce advocate. In that passion that I was talking about, that's that emboldened. I mean, that is who Marilyn is, right? When
She's a little spitfire.
oh, she is.
And that in the best way,
Oh,
Marilyn.
it was awesome. You know, she come walking up, and I'd already met her daughter. Her daughter is, you know, really bubbly and full of energy. And Marilyn sits down, and I'm normally the only one in the group that is kind of a hard nose about making sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to help, and you're going, well, not only are you doing everything, but you're going to do everything, and I'm going to make sure that you do it. And Marilyn sat down and smiled and said, "Hi, my name's Marilyn," and I introduced myself, and she started in with the same things I say. I was like, high five, yes, we're friends now.
You were my tribe.
Yes, she's part of our village now. We've adopted her. So, from then on, and we've kept in touch, and she's just awesome. So, and then this year she helped in the DC Say Dyslexia rally also. So
Yeah, you were a big organizer, right, Marilyn?
Well,
Of course, we'll probably get to that in just
Yeah.
a little bit, but yeah, you had some.
she played a big role in this,
Yeah.
in helping spread the information and awareness. But let's start with this. Marilyn, you want to introduce yourself a little bit and tell people, about your story and why you say dyslexia.
well, it starts way back to my childhood. I'm one of 8 children. All 8 of us were educated in the public education system in Virginia. None of us had any struggles acquiring literacy skills, but we all grew up very tight-knit, family first, always had your back. You could always rely on family. So when I embarked on having my own family, and then my daughter proceeded to struggle to acquire literacy skills, from the very beginning, I knew that something had to be askew. And that's how our journey began.
At what
you tell
age?
me, you wanted me to keep...
At what age did you start noticing that there was a problem? What grade?
Okay, so Lauryn was premature. She was born at 33 weeks and 2 days after I was on 51 days of bed rest in the Brigham and Women's Hospital here in Boston. So her due date was October. She came in August. And because of that, we decided as parents that we would base her starting school date off of her actual due date. So in Massachusetts, the cutoff date is August 31st. So we had her do an extra year of preschool. And I'm glad that we did, because I'm sure if we had started her when she was eligible, they probably would have retained her based on the struggles that she ended up having in kindergarten. For whatever reason, this kindergarten teacher, 25 years experience in the same district, would start all of the kids out in what he called the bronze level reading club. They were all bronze level readers. And as the year progressed, and as your reading skills progressed, you would advance to the silver club, the gold club, and even the platinum club, which I think immediately sets up some anxiety for competitiveness. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're in kindergarten and you're all trying to acquire literacy skills. I'm not so sure that's the best way to begin an experience with learning, because we all learn differently. So Lauryn struggled from the very beginning. And I sort of tried to play it out because it was my first year in the school system. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, but I was still a very involved parent. Just was not educated at that point as to why my child was having so much, such a challenge. Why was she struggling? So in our final parent-teacher conference, the teacher kindly said to us, and was very honest, so I do give him credit for that, but he said that in hindsight, he wished he had referred our daughter to the school's Jumpstart reading program, which was like a knife, through a mother's heart, because that meant to me, I knew we had lost the entire year based on his hindsight. So, and she ended up being the only child left in the Bronze Club. So it was severely detrimental to her self-esteem right from the beginning.
Sure.
I mean, that goes right along with, hey, if there's a problem, if you honestly think there's a problem, let's don't wait.
Yeah, go with your gut and speak up.
Don't wait till the end of the year and then
In a
say
nice
we
way.
need to retain or we need to add in this extra program or what. If problems are arising, let's hit them right at the very beginning, right?
I totally agree.
You and I talked
Well,
about, Rachel and I.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying that Rachel and I talked about, here in Texas, we have at risk. And one of the categories of putting your child in the at-risk category for dropping out of school is retention. So, that to me is a telltale sign. So, hey, if we think that my child's going to be retained, there's something definitely amiss. Let's address this way before we get to the retention talk.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. If you see the red flags, why would you wait till the end of the school year and say, "Oh yeah, they need to repeat"?
So this goes back.
What?
This goes back to the video where a lot of these teachers don't have that proper
Yeah.
education
Yeah.
to know the red flags or know what to look for,
Right.
and all of a sudden you're sitting at the end of the year and they go, "Oh, well, I guess we need to retain your child." So
Yeah.
So in our situation, and I think nationwide, two things. When you have a teacher with 25 years experience, I think he obviously did see the red flags, but I think when you have 25 children in your class, you're overworked, and you're spread thin. And
Definitely.
he had 3 children in that class that had 1-to-1 aids. So I'm fairly certain that he was distracted. And not that maybe he forgot about Lauryn, but that Lauryn was not his priority when you have 25 kids and 3 other kids with 1-to-1 aids. It's an extremely distracting room. I volunteered, as you can imagine. I'm fortunate enough to be a stay-at-home mom, and so I would volunteer whenever I could. And that room was literally organized chaos because at any moment, something was being dumped upside down, or someone was being pinched, or whatever the case may be. And fear, it just interjected fear into my heart. And, when you really see what's going on in a classroom, you realize that there's too many kids. There's too many kids.
Yeah. I mean, we all have said this. We feel like the teacher, you said it, they're overworked, too many kids.
Overcrowding. Yeah.
They don't have,
the
most of them,
support.
even at 25 years, don't have, haven't had that type of education to be able to see the red flags. I mean, we need to support our teachers so they can do what they need to do. This is definitely not a beating up on teachers, because they're the front lines. They're the ones that care about our children and want our children to learn. We as a society and as a school board needs to make sure that we provide the proper support for these teachers so they can do what their job is to teach.
Yeah.
They can't
Right. Their
do
job is
everything.
not to babysit.
Right.
Right.
No. And yeah.
So fast forward to where when did you decide, hey, look, this is enough. We
Let's
gotta
go
figure
somewhere
something
else.
Well, so we, of course, got her tutoring services over the summer because, as any parent is like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I support my kid? I don't want my child to struggle. So we embarked on tutoring, and she tutored that summer at home. And so I witnessed all of the frustration when she was being tutored by just a public school first grade teacher. She was not getting any, at this point I didn't know she was dyslexic, so she was not getting anything specific as far as like Orton Gillingham or Wilson or Tim Conway or anything. We didn't know. She was just getting your everyday variety of tutoring for reading. And she would throw books, she would act out. And I think, as we all know, and as I came to learn, children are acting out for a reason.
Yeah, behavior is a symptom of a larger problem. So.
Yeah, most definitely.
Right. In hindsight, she didn't understand what was going on. She was not processing what this teacher was trying to coach her with, and so she was retaliating. So we struggled through that. Then I decided that I was going to get her a neuropsych evaluation based on her half-brother's difficulties in school himself. He was only diagnosed with ADHD, even though his neuropsych did say that he had word retrieval deficits and comprehension deficits, but they never diagnosed a specific learning disability in anything. So I did have a little tip off. When I sort of kind of step back and look at the bigger picture, I'm like, okay, well, her half brother struggled, she's struggling. No one struggled in my family, so something's going on here. So I called Massachusetts General Hospital. They have a learning and emotional assessment program. The acronym is LEAP, LEAP. And of course, they had like a 14 or 16 month wait list.
Wow.
So we added our name to the list because at this point I had no idea that time was of the essence. And so we were put on the wait list. We actually scheduled an appointment like 16 months out, whatever it was, and put on the cancellation list. Well, we never got a phone call for a cancellation. So that cancellation list must be very long. And so we struggled through all of first grade with support, teacher support from the public school, meaning we were paying privately for another teacher to tutor her after school, again, with just general reading instruction. And we made it through to the fall of second grade when we went in for a neuropsych, and at the end of the evaluation that day, Dr. Fricelli said, Lauryn's dyslexic. And I was like, okay. But that was the first time, obviously, I had even heard the word. And, when she spoke those words to me, I was relieved because there was a reason for Lauryn's struggle, but I was immediately terrified for what that meant for Lauryn and her future. So I was in bewilderment. And I was angry because, how did the school miss this? How do you let a child suffer this long? And not suggest an evaluation at school. I mean, I didn't even know my rights. And I was ripped apart as a mother. Like, guilt, I failed my child. It's horrific. And it's totally avoidable. So, yeah, that's how we got to dyslexia. Thank God for Dr. Fricelli. She literally saved Lauryn's life as far as I'm concerned. we had to wait, I think it was 2 or 4 weeks for the formal report. We had to go back and meet her and have our parent meeting where she went through every single page. She told us what it meant. She said, yes, this is why Lauryn, no one thinks anything's wrong with Lauryn because she presents as a bright, bubbly, articulate, eager to learn child because she has incredible strengths. But they're offset by, detrimental weaknesses.
Yep.
Her processing speed and her working memory. But she explained to us, Lauryn's brain and why she cannot learn. She cannot learn in public school environments because they just cannot provide the services that my child needs to learn.
Mm-hmm. We're actually going to have Dr.
Ficelli
on the show because, we got to meet her in D.C. I'm not sure when that date is, but we'll have her. She's September, incredible. Yeah. She's out of Harvard. Yeah. Really knows her stuff.
So just to give you kind of paint a picture of Lauryn, Lauryn and I think there was 3 or 4 other kids were on a kids panel 2 years ago in D.C. And some of the kids were very shy and didn't know what to say, didn't really talk much unless they were prodded, and then it really came out, right? Lauryn got up there and she was just talking, just like Marilyn was saying. You would never look at Lauryn and go, she has any type of deficits.
Yeah, that's kind of how my daughter is too. She flew under the radar for sure.
Yeah, because
nothing stuck out other than that she couldn't decode.
She hides it. She hides it so well, just like your daughter and my oldest son hide it so well that you would never think that there was anything wrong.
Right.
So, and I'm not sure if your listeners have heard before, but they're typically referred to as stealth dyslexic because they literally fly under the radar, and they can do it for a long time because they do have significant strengths in other areas that help them compensate for their weaknesses. But over time, those weaknesses can erode at their self-confidence, their self-worth, and then they typically hit a wall. Dr. Ficelli would say to us, typically in high school, and by then it's way, way late.
Well,
I think you even have a friend, right?
Yep.
Stephen?
Yep. I've got a couple
who
friends
was diagnosed in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
and he was on the panel that year.
Yeah, he was.
And actually, he's been on the show too. I mean, it's.
He's a great kid.
It's unnerving to know that your child has gone through all of school and end up a junior in high school and just being diagnosed.
It's like, what?
Yeah. So
that's got to be unnerving for the parent.
So you
got 1 year left.
And he wanted to drop out.
Yeah, he wanted
to drop out of school.
Yeah, he was ready to drop out of school. Yeah. He was going to be another one of those statistics, right?
Let me ask you, Marilyn, because you're the only parent I think that I know of that's done this, and it's kind of new to me. Tell us about the 10-day letter.
Notice?
Yeah. 10-day notice. You have to send in a letter, 10-day notice. Touch on that briefly, and then we'll move on to some other stuff.
Sure. So once we spent about 18 months, for lack of a better word, fighting with the school district in each IEP meeting. We had an advocate with us from the very beginning, and we came to a stalemate, as is typically the case. Of course, I didn't know that at that time, but we were advised to consider unilateral placement for Lauryn. So what that means is basically unilateral placement occurs when the child is placed by the parent in a private educational program, and the parent reserves the right to seek reimbursement from the school district, okay, for not providing or offering the student free appropriate public education. It is obviously an expensive undertaking. I interviewed 3 attorneys. Each attorney had obviously a different opinion, but facts remained the same across the board. Number one, at a minimum, it was a $50,000 retainer. Again, I live in Massachusetts, so one of the more expensive states to live in the country. So it was a $50,000 retainer at minimum. That was the lowest retainer. And then the advice was to have at least 2 years worth of private school tuition reserved. So the private school tuition, there's only 2 dyslexic schools privately in Massachusetts, and they range from $50,000 to about $65,000. So when you do the math, you're talking about $150,000 minimum to undertake unilateral placement. So it was a lot to consider, and I took all of this information. I went back home. I did just very simple homework. I went online and I just looked up the year prior, the outcomes of due process, because that would have been our next step after unilateral placement would be to go to due process to, have a hearing to fight for her right to private placement. And I believe there were 16 or 14, I forget the particular number. Anyway, in the year prior, so that's the most accurate information I could get, 80% of the due process hearing outcomes were in the favor of school districts. So here I'm faced with very ugly outcomes for parents. All right, I have a 20% chance based on historical due process outcomes that we would risk at a minimum $50,000 retainer fee to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided as a family that we would rather invest that $50,000 in our child and hope that that investment in a private school would pay greater dividends than potentially a 6-month or 1-year emotional fight in a due process hearing where we had an 80% chance to lose.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. We invested in Lauryn. We invested in Carroll School, and I am forever grateful that we did. I know parents that did take the step for unilateral placement plus due process, and then they ended up spending 6 figures to lose in due process. So they were looking at, over $100,000 in attorney fees, and they are now in year 3 of a private school education. So they're upwards of $250,000 in 3 years. In the same 3 years, I saved myself $100,000.
Right.
So, it's a very serious undertaking. You really need to do your homework before you file for due process.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I just have to say, and I don't know if our viewers caught this, one of the things that impressed me the most about parents that make the choice to go to a private school and continue to fight for the public school. I'm sitting next to one of them. And then, Marilyn, and there's so many other examples of it.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes about who you are as a person, and that this is really about the children and nothing else. I've never seen either one of y'all waver from your position on dyslexia or getting the kids help, because at this point, you know your kid's getting help, and
Well, and
it's
the
easy.
moment-
it's easy to back off and go, well, my kid's getting help, and
Right.
I just can't take this on, and neither one of y'all have, and I know a lot of people that haven't, right? And you know, it's
Well,
because of
I can
parents
tell
like
you
that. It's because of parents like that we are getting in fighters, right? We're getting where we're needing to be. And, you know, I just as a parent, I would
knew-
like to say thank you to y'all.
I just knew the moment I walked out of the public school, like the day I was walking out the doors and I saw this problem, full spectrum, just like what you kind of, my experience was a little bit different, but yet the same. I just knew that as soon as I get my kids where they need to be and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel with them, I can't forget about the others.
Right.
I can't
Well,
go back. You just
yeah.
can't go back. You can turn your back, because life's a lot easier if you turn your back and just worry about your own stuff. You know, you sleep better
Well,
at night.
I think-
Probably,
I-
maybe not. I don't know. I don't think I could, but anyways, hats off to you, Marilyn, for
were you-
keeping it up.
What were you going to say, Marilyn?
Well, I think what the entire nation needs to realize is dyslexia is genetic. This is not going away. There is no cure. Okay, the best cure is early identification, proper instruction, early remediation, early. And so that means if I have 2 dyslexic children out of the 3 children in our family, my grandchildren have a high risk, and their children, and so on it goes. This is perpetuity. This is never ending. Dyslexia is never going away. So I fight for all the children right now who do not have a voice, whose parents are being taken advantage of, gaslighted, denied, flat out lied to, and manipulated. And then the second part of it is I'm fighting for my future generation.
Right.
Right.
So
I mean,
it's not about Lauryn, because Lauryn is receiving the best possible education that she can in Massachusetts. I don't need to advocate for Lauryn
Yeah.
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the
I'm
5,
advocating for everyone else.
Yeah.
out of the 5 in my family, 3 have dyslexia. So
Right.
There you go.
So there you
Genetic.
go.
So we're going to talk about Dyslexia Day again, or Day on the Hill in DC, and we're going to jump to the next subject now. I appreciate your testimony and everything you just said. Valuable information.
So what Marilyn was instrumental in is the Dyslexia Caucus update. So
Yeah.
you know we had
The panel, the science of reading, right?
So we had Say Dyslexia Rally, and then right after that,
we went to
Bruce Westerman,
the Library of Congress,
Yeah.
which was such a beautiful building. What picture do we have up first, Jason?
and we'll just go ahead.
slide. We'll just kind of go through some of these pictures. Okay, so
and we'll
there's
just
our,
talk about them.
there's our beautiful Capitol,
Right.
with the red umbrella. Yay, Dyslexia Rally.
Let's go. Keep moving on.
Okay, so this, and Marilyn, you can't see these pictures, so I apologize. So this picture is of Deb Lynam. I'm going to say this wrong. Lynam? Lynam. There we go. I think it's Deb Lynam. God, see, I'm glad I wrote it down, but then I still mispronounced it probably. I'm going to have to apologize to her later. Okay, so she gave an awesome...
She kicked it off.
I was like, how are Stephen and I even going to compete with her? What's so important about her is that she was one of the founding parents that started decoding dyslexia. So I'm going to hope to have her on the show.
Right.
And then maybe her son, who is just so talented.
Right.
Hopefully, I've got a call out to her. Okay, Jason, what's next? Okay, there we are with our umbrellas.
That's our red umbrellas
Yeah.
for the Say Dyslexia Rally.
Yeah.
All right.
Next.
There's us standing in front of the Capitol.
Next. I had red sunglasses on.
Yeah. So there's our.
And how many people were there?
There
I
was.
can't tell.
There was at least 100.
500?
Well, I mean,
That picture went on forever.
yeah. I
though.
mean, it did.
I mean,
it could
when
have been
everybody-
500. I mean,
I don't know. We'll have to ask them how. It was a good turnout, though.
Right.
I thought.
So this is Robbie Cooper, great friend, great advocate. She's the head of Decoding Dyslexia Texas.
Yep.
Always such a great friend and advocate.
And she
So-
works so
the best.
hard. She
Yes.
works so hard.
Tireless.
Yes.
She is tireless.
Yes.
So let's move on there.
Oh, there's the Library
This is
of Congress.
this is the Library of Congress. This is the hallway to the members only room, which
The public does not get to go in here.
it was completely beautiful. And that's
I did.
Well, yes.
Well, we
You're
did.
special.
We did. But, you know, when you tour the Library of Congress, that's like
Yeah, that's
not
kinda roped
on
off.
the tour. So it's okay. So, Jason, next. Okay. And here is the room where we are. I wish I had a picture of the ceiling. It looked the same as the
Yeah, it
hallway.
was
It's just gorgeous.
Unbelievable. So our panels was Dr. Ficelli.
Well, and Representative Bruce Westerman, you
Westerman,
can't
yeah.
see him. He's
He's-
at the podium.
The next guy was from the National Institute of Health. Is that correct?
Correct. I think his name was Brett Miller, I believe.
I think so. I have his name.
Yeah.
I didn't write his name down. Oh, and then the
I think it was
lady.
Brett.
Yeah, he was very
Yep.
great too. And then the lady with the long blonde hair. I didn't.
She was
God, I
from
didn't write their names
XL Ed, I think it is.
Okay.
So I mean, we had
Excellence
a
in education, something like that.
we had
Yeah.
a mix of PhDs, people in education, and then we had Brent Stopel.
The NHL, the hockey player who won the Stanley Cup,
Yeah, he was on the Blackhawks when they won the Stanley
Yeah.
Cup, so that was it was
and he
great
gave
to
a
listen to
great
his-
testimony.
Listen to his testimony. Yep. So
And then
it's-
Marilyn, you gave testimony too.
there wasn't
I
a
tried not to
dry-
cry.
Yeah, there wasn't a dry eye in the room after Marilyn got done.
Oh my goodness.
So-
That's why we wanted to have you on the show.
Do we have anything else?
Oh yeah. What?
Oh, there's us.
Oh, there's Bruce. There's Representative Westerman from Arkansas.
We were handing
He
him.
is, I have to interject because he is the most humble, kind, gentle man that I've ever come across. I'm one that I always trust my intuition, and that man just radiates kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And he was so adorable when he said, well, he's in his Southern dialect, which I can appreciate because I'm from Virginia. I just trust my wife. And because she knows her stuff.
Well, and she's a special ed
special ed
teacher.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So he did what he was told
Yep.
by his wife. Well, and
Good
I'm sure
husband.
great husband.
So we were presenting Representative Westerman with a Empower Dyslexia shirt
Yeah.
from his when he was on our show. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
was fun.
so after DC and we went through that, you have ventured out and started a group. You want to talk a little bit about your group?
Well,
that
when did you start your group?
Just last month.
Are you
After the
serious?
Dyslexia rally.
Oh, so it just started. I thought you said it was last year, but you just started. Oh my gosh. It's blowing up.
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, it's only been, I think we've only been active publicly for maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't
Oh my
go back and
gosh.
look at the first tweet.
Wow. Okay. So
yeah.
you guys, if I remember right, you said you're 6 moms, right?
We are.
From
yep.
different states, Boston, Florida. I don't remember the other couple of states. And you guys
Maryland.
in Maryland, and
Go
you
ahead.
guys report on special ed violations. You tweet about special ed violations, parent experiences, and you do parent resources too. You tweet about all that kind of stuff. And tell us the name of it.
She tweets about that awesome podcast. What was the name of that one? Empower Dyslexia.
We totally
I
appreciate
can't
that
remember.
tweet.
I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I think it's called Empower
I have
Dyslexia.
to
I
process
think-
speech deficit.
Yeah. there was this guy and this lady on there,
Yeah.
and they talk about dyslexia.
Yeah.
Empower
Yeah.
dyslexia.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But
it's
my working memory is poor. Yes. So no. So basically, it was just an accident. As was my advocacy is accidental. It's just I don't know. That's how it happened. I had a connection with my friend in Maryland, and we would always kind of share information with each other, and we'd always piggyback tweeting on articles because she obviously has her opinion and experience, and always sharing that. And suddenly these 4 other moms just kept popping up. And so I one day sent a message to all of us saying, listen, there's only one way that we can get to try to get this, more exposure. We've got to come up with some hashtag or something that we can all use every single time we tweet. So we actually started out as hashtag moms for FAPE, which is MOMS, the number 4, and then FAPE for free appropriate public education. Well, we started doing that, and then I was like, well, dang, we might as well have a whole page. So that's what we did. We set up at Moms for FAPE. We set up a page, and it is the 6 of us, and I believe it's 3. Well, we have 2 moms with autistic children, and then the 4 others are dyslexics. So the dyslexia was easy to get the connection, but as you know, autistic children also benefit from structured literacy. So we would end up being on the same thread. And it's been very educational because I've learned so much about autism from these mothers. And the other thing that I have mad respect for is parents of autistics are out there and they are spreading awareness.
Yes, they are.
Parents of dyslexics are falling short, guys.
I don't understand that either. I don't understand why that is.
That's a whole other show.
I think it's because Autism Speaks has been very successful in spreading awareness there. Just look at the Doug Flutie Foundation here in Massachusetts is highly successful. There are not very many, actually I can't even think of one, foundation that is nationally recognized for dyslexia. We
Not
have
yet.
coding
Any
dyslexia.
takers?
It's coming.
It's coming. I feel like it's coming. I think this year and last year, there's been so much more talk and then legislative changes because of that talk.
Well, there should be because we're the number 1. Dyslexia is the most common learning disability.
Yeah, and it's been not talked about. So say dyslexia, right?
Yep.
Say it and talk about it.
If you are one of the tweeters on Twitter, make sure that you follow at Moms for FAPE.
Yes.
And if you're tweeting about educational issues around dyslexia, any of the comorbidities, autism, special education, please hashtag Moms for FAPE. So
Thank you.
I joked with Marilyn. I'm like, okay, well, where's the dads for FAPE? What's going on? What you're leaving us dads out? What's wrong with you,
Marilyn? You said that there is a dads for FAPE, yeah?
Yeah.
Or parents?
Well, hashtag dads for FAPE came from Steven. So,
so it hasn't been created yet. Okay, Steven, that's your baby.
No.
It's a natural fit, obviously.
Yes.
Take it all
so
on.
now when we actually have some fathers, actually Jason, who is part of our meeting with Johnny Collette last year in DC, which Stephen was at. He's active on our page. There are other fathers. You just have to, I'm not trying to stereotype, but mothers are typically boisterous and will voice their opinions
Mama
for
bears.
their children.
Yeah, we need more fathers out there to
Come on, father bears.
come in and
That's
make
right.
sure that we're
That's
a
right.
part
I'm
of
a
this.
mama bear for sure. That's what my Instagram is, dyslexic mama bear. Because I am.
Well, Marilyn,
That's what I am.
Yep, I can relate.
I just want to say, as an individual who has no children and, coming in and running your guys' show, it's really amazing that, these things go overlooked so easily by everybody else. And just thank you guys for bringing it out, all of you.
Thanks, Jason.
And making that known. So people like me who have no children or anything can say somebody is setting that stage
Yeah.
for it to be addressed.
I appreciate that
Thank you,
comment.
Jason.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Jason.
I mean, we're all, there's a big group of us that are all trying to work hard at trying to make things just a little bit better for the future generation and hopefully this generation.
So, Marilyn, always keep up the good fight. We're in this boat together. We're all rowing the same direction, and it's such an honor to know you and your daughter. Y'all are amazing people, and thank you for all that you do.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on the show.
And thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for fighting for all children in America. They are very, it's just a huge, in my opinion, civil rights issue.
Yes.
That has to be brought to the forefront and has to change now. We can't wait any longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely have Marilyn back on. Always enjoy having our discussions about, the state of education in our country. I mean, and we're just dealing with our country. We're not even talking about anywhere else.
Right.
So.
We hear it from other countries, though.
Oh, yeah.
Since we started the show, we have heard from a lot of other countries.
I mean, we have friends in Africa, and we have friends in
Yeah.
Ireland,
Australia,
in Australia,
the UK.
UK. I mean, it's all Sweden.
Sweden, yeah.
I mean,
Sweden, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a global issue.
Yeah, it's amazing to me how
Yeah.
quickly this spread around the world. And we're coming from Dallas, Texas, little Rachel and Steven, and now we're heard around the world. It's
crazy.
It's mind blowing. So
Crazy.
Yeah, and I'll leave all of your listeners with this. I'm talking on an iPhone. That iPhone was invented by, Steve Jobs. He was dyslexic. There
That's
are
right.
so many things
Talented.
that we touch and feel every day that were invented by dyslexics. And by the grace of God, these people were able to buck the trend in America's public school and succeed. But that is sadly not the case. Other children are taking their lives. So this has to change.
I know. I retweeted one of your tweets the other day, and it just broke my heart. Yeah, about one of the children who committed suicide. But anyways, I don't want to get into that because
On
I'll
a
probably
brighter
start
note, yeah.
crying again. But like Stephen and I always like to say when we're ending our show is like, go get your if you feel like there's something not quite right and your kid is struggling in school, trust your gut, go get your child evaluated, whether it be a dyslexia evaluation only or a full evaluation. It is the standard of care, a better standard of care if you do get the full evaluation.
do not wait till the end of the year.
Golly,
Do it
no.
now.
No.
Just go do it.
No.
Send in a letter to your school counselor
If you don't know,
and start
what-
the process.
Right. If you don't know what to say in this letter, you can go to our website, www.empowerdyslexia.info, and download one of the templates and just fill out your information, send it to your school, and get going.
And I'll tell you, I mean, I'm still, like, I sent mine in because we're doing a reevaluation through Dallas ISD. I called, made the call in April. We've gotten all the evaluation done, but my meeting, I mean, here we are in August, back to school. Today was back to school for me. I'm not sure when my ARD meeting is, which is the first initial IEP plan.
Right.
But the evaluation part is done. I just don't know the results. So it takes a while, depending on your school district. So keep that in mind, you guys. Start early.
Early and often.
Early. Yeah.
Have conversations early and often. So thank you for tuning
And
in.
you never,
go
never
ahead.
accept no from anyone at school.
Absolutely.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut.
If you need help, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, Rachel or myself, on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever. Send us messages. We'll either
Try to
get you,
respond as fast as we
yeah,
can.
We'll get you in touch with, our vast network
And growing network.
of either attorneys or advocates, and kind of steer you in the right direction, make sure that you're getting the proper help for your child.
And you can
Moms-
contact those
yeah.
people just for advice. You don't
Yep.
have to actually hire them to go to
Yep.
the meeting with you, but they know the law. And
Right. in
they
that
are
state.
there just to consult if you need that. Or
Right.
they can go to the meetings with you if you need.
Reach out to Moms for FAPE, MOMS, the number 4, FAPE, FAPE, free, appropriate public education. So until next time.
Yeah. We'll see you next week. Thanks for
see you
tuning
there.
in.
Thank you.